It's a dry morning, but there is the threat of rain here at the Nurburgring as the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup is about to get qualifying underway. The Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit is where we are this weekend, but it is the short version. This weekend, GT cars hook up with trucks because we're here at the German Truck Grand Prix. There is a monster crowd expected, but as I say, there is rain expected as well, and that's going to perhaps give us a very jumbled grid as we get ready for the three parts of qualifying. Championship absolutely wide open. We've been to Misano, we've been to Brands Hatch, and we come here with Enzo Ede and Christopher Mies, the Sprint Cup championship leaders by a point from Jules Schimkowiak and Bernd Schneider, who are tied with Laurens Vanthoor and Frederik Vervies, and the drivers getting themselves ready for what's going to be an ultra competitive session. The Vanthoor brothers then discussing life, and you've got Marcus Winkelhock here this weekend as well. You've got Nico Müller, fresh from an Audi DTM win, indeed his first at the Norris Ring last week. It is a huge entry, and traffic management I think is going to be key, not only in the races but especially in this first part of qualifying when everybody goes pouring out. It is a short lap, it is a busy lap, and you don't want to get stuck in traffic. David Addison and John Watson with you as we get set for an all-action qualifying session. John.
Well, I have to say it's going to be probably the most interesting weekend in the Blancpain GT Championship, either sprint or endurance, I've ever attended. Namely because we are sharing the venue with the World Championship for trucks, which is a bit of a novelty to me. But the real feature will be the rubber that trucks run on. They do put out a lot of on-burnt fuel by the looks of things. It comes out black. And if you get rain and you get a mix of those elements on a racetrack, it's going to be a brand new world for everybody.
So trying to work on setup could all go out of the window, couldn't it?
Well, I mean, I think it's stick a tail on the donkey, because all you can do is go with your nose. And looking there, the two Nissans sitting nose to tail, waiting to get out on track. What a miserable day the Nissans have had over the past two sessions of free practice 1 in the morning and free practice 2 in the afternoon. The best position was 26th. Sean Wolkenshaw, quickest of the two Nissans. The second one, all the way down in 34th. I mean, these cars were winning races last year.
Now there's a car that has been winning this year, the Bentley. They were very unfortunate in Endurance Cup at Paul Ricard a week ago. Both cars in strife. Matthew Wilson, Malcolm's son, who looked after the team, the race team, walks across the pit lane. I think Dad's away in Poland, isn't he, this weekend on World Rally Championship duty. But the queue of cars getting ready at the end of the pit lane. The format is that you have a 15-minute Q1 with driver 1, and then you have a break, and you change drivers, and you go again for 15 minutes, and then it is the fastest cars that go through into Q3. It is an enormous entry this weekend, 37 cars we had, although one skipped free practice 2 yesterday. A car with strife in the morning was the Michele Beretta Luca Stolz Lamborghini. That had a gearbox issue. There's the lone Porsche in the entry, which is driven by Sebastian Asch, double German GT champion, Didi Gonzalez as the second driver in the car. Didi Gonzalez will be driver 1 for the purposes of qualifying, so he will go first. And driver 1, as nominated, starts the main race, and driver 2, as nominated, starts the qualifying race, just to remind you. So the line of cars getting longer. Now, how do you do this? Do you want to be the first out and try and get clear track space, or do you want to be last out and let everybody go?
I mean, I think always being first out has got advantages. But it's a whole new world again. I mean, we're going out, what's it, coming up to 9 o'clock local time. Ambient temperature's down. Track temperature is going to be different from what we saw yesterday. Look, you can even see to the right of the cars in the pit lane. There's a mount of, looks to me like, look at the sheen.
Yeah.
What you're seeing there, just by that 50-meter board, that is what you're going to be confronted with when you get out on track. That is rubber, fuel. I don't know what else is there. I mean, this is Europe's equivalent to NASCAR racing in the States. Again, look at the amount of rubber. Now, that is not Pirelli rubber. That is a mixture of all the rubbers. Goodyear's, Kumo, and I don't know whatever else the trucks run in their championships. Track temperature only 13 Celsius. 13 Celsius?
In July.
In July,
yeah.
Dear me. I mean, it's stick a tail on a donkey. It's going to be very tricky for everybody. And, you know, some people will say, well, look, hang back, let everybody go out and find out just how things are, as we see the field line make their way down into turn 1. But you've got limited amount of time. You've got 15 minutes for the session. There is the slightly shortened version of the traditional Grand Prix circuit here at Nurburgring, 3.6 kilometers in length, it's rather strange because it goes turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 4A, and then the next corner is turn 11.
Because you just chop off this section at the bottom of the hill.
You've actually just chopped off, as you say, half the Grand Prix circuit, and we rejoin at turn 11. All great fun for the commentators in the commentary booth. Very straightforward to it once you get your head around it. And there we just see cars making their way around what would be turn 2 into turn 3.
And also, another difference from when we come here in September for endurance is that it's the tighter chicane. It's the Formula 1 chicane. It's more of a stop-start, which does at least present another overtaking opportunity because it is a proper slow and you can dive up the inside, whereas the softer version, the motorbike chicane that's used for the Endurance Cup, really is just one line through, so it's not that easy to overtake through that section. We'll show you that part of the circuit in a moment because they're coming now down through the Advan Bogen, and then this is the chicane, so heavier braking, and you can see there the much tighter left and right as the Nissan 23 works its way up towards us, the car in the hands of Mitsunori Takaboshi and Alex Bunker for the weekend. And Takaboshi, the man that drives in Q1.
And this car was 34th, I can't say quickest, and I don't want to say slowest. And, you know, we know that Nissan frequently do not show their hand in the free practice sessions. They wait and then see what they've got available. But nevertheless, and this is a circuit actually, I think they would freely admit is not necessarily going to play to the strengths of the Nissan. It is very much about traction. And surprise, surprise, if you look at the practice times from FP2, I think 5 of the top 8 places, WRT or Audis of one description or another, where traction is one of their fortes.
Yeah.
So Nissan really having to knuckle down and try and drag the best possible time that they can from this car, which on other occasions we know is a race-winning car.
And Takaboshi then at the wheel, he will be the first person to do a target time, if you like, within Q1. We'll try and keep tabs on the individual sessions and the overall standing. There's Sean Walkinshaw on the left, talking to Rob Jenkinson, former Caterham champion, who is one of the driver coaches within the Nissan squad. Very quick racer himself, Rob, years ago. I think quite like to go racing again, but budget and all that. But Sean Walkinshaw getting quicker and quicker all the time as a driver, and also, of course, a successful team boss as well. He's got his own junior single-seater team.
Yeah, now the time that this car has got to improve upon, I mean, it was, say, 29.296, which was way, way off the 127.5, said Mirko Bertolotti in the Lamborghini, who was quickest overall, 128.333. Significant improvement. That would have put him yesterday 18th quickest as opposed to where he ended up as being 34th. So no doubt that the work overnight, but more likely fresh or new rubber on that Nissan is contributing to that significant improvement in time.
Now it's early doors, but the fastest is Vincent Abril in Bentley number 7. No, it's not. It is now Andy Soucek in Bentley number 8. And winning cars from Endurance Cup a week ago, McLaren about to send 59 into the session. It is the Garage 59 car. Martin Plowman at the wheel, who reminded us how good he was last year when he was driving Nissans, but he's been scooped up to go into McLaren for this year. Martin Plowman, the Brit, who's done most of his racing either in mainland Europe or America, so he's hardly known at all in the UK. There is the fastest car then, Andy Soucek at the wheel. He has done a 1:27.621. The best that we got yesterday out of anybody was a 27.4, which was done by Dries Van Tor in the first of the 2 free practice sessions, so they're not a million miles away from that at the moment, as Soucek, Abril, Takaboshi, Baumann, Szymkowiak and Mar Melnhof is the top 6 at the moment, and 15 minutes, even on a short lap like this, goes pretty quickly.
Yeah, and Andy Soucek is caught up behind the number, I can't make it the number on there, the WRT Audi that he's directly behind. Oh, and he clips one of those markers on the exit of the corner.
It's number 2, it's Stuart Leonard at the wheel. Not getting out of the way, is he?
Well, I think Andy Soucek's going to force the issue up the inside. He can do it into the chicane in this configuration. Gets the car into track position and forces the Audi to stay out wide. So now, Andy Soucek, this lap will not necessarily be his best lap, but in fact, Dominic Baumann had gone quickest, and it's Vincent Abril back quickest again. So literally, as the car's coming across start-finish line, the lap times continue to improve. And Andy Soucek does improve in spite of being held up behind the Audi.
Amazing. So we're now quicker than in free practice because, of course, they'll have had the opportunity now to put, sensibly, new tyres on the car. Soucek very deep into the Mercedes arena down at turn 1. So Soucek, Abril, Baumann, Szymkowiak, Salaquada, Mar Melnhof, Takaboshi, Mar Melnhof, then Sarrazin, that's your top 10. Yes, the Nissan has crept in, the second of the Nissans has crept into the top 10. 84, Dominic Baumann then, who last year was a BMW driver, largely in the German Championship, but now switching to Mercedes and has got lots of miles in this car under his belt already, looking very quick. Now, how's he doing in terms of sectors? He's done an absolute best in Sector 1, and he's got traffic up the road ahead of him. So again, it's bravery through the traffic, personal best in Sector 2, but he's in danger here of losing out if he stays behind Takaboshi in that Nissan. Here he comes up towards the Coca-Cola curve. Can he dive up the inside? Is he still on it? Is he going to abort the lap? Well, he stays out, but I fear it's going to unravel in this last sector. Let's just see what he can do as he comes up now towards the timing line. He will break the beam. Now, Baumann goes across the line and goes fastest of all. That was a 27.359. He is 9 thousandths of a second quicker than the Bentleys, and he did get held up in the last sector.
He did get held up, but he had good times in the first sector, purple, personal best in the second sector, but enough to give him that momentarily provisional faster time. Then again, stuck behind the Nissan, lights flashing, I want through, you're holding me up. But, you know, this is not a race, this is just qualifying. Takaboshi isn't obliged in this context to get out of the way of the Mercedes. He currently down 23, down in 6th place, 27.7, way better than we saw from the two Nissans, either Nissan on Friday.
And although we were talking about Baumann being held up, while he was behind the Nissan on that last lap still did its own best of the session. So as you say, Takaboshi is driving his own session here. He's trying to get the lap times in, and he did improve last time on a 27.771. He's backed out of this lap. Martin Plowman's up to 4th, incidentally, now in the number 59 McLaren, and Rob Bell, the overall Blancpain GT Cup leader, if you take sprint and endurance together, he is the man now, 5th fastest as the cars work their way into the second part of the session. We've got just 7.5 minutes, give or take, to go. There is Martin Plowman in the car that he shares with Frenchman Combe Ledegar. So two young guns, but both very quick drivers in their own right.
Still can't get over the side of Combe Ledegar, coming through turn 7 at Paul Ricard in the 6-hour event. When he went AWOL.
Yes.
He cut across the end. I mean, it was given as a force majeure situation, but it was one of those moments in motor racing that you will always remember. Where is he gone? But he had to take avoiding action. As it turned out, he got some other views of the incident, and he was within his rights to take that avoiding action. I think he just over-egged the pudding a bit, taking a little bit more than he needed to. Backs off, and that's compromising the Audi behind, so he's just looking for track space. Everybody, I mean, looking at we've got a map which gives us the positions of every car on the racetrack. Right now, you can barely see anything more than about 100 yards gap between any car, the 37 cars that are all on track at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, we've still got 4 cars that haven't even been out of the pit lane yet, so it is incredibly busy, and it's set to get even busier. You've got a number of teams, Rover Racing and one of the Attempto cars, and also Rinaldi Racing, who've yet to send out their BMW or Lamborghini or Ferrari across those 3 teams. So they're trying to leave it till the end and hope that other people, A, will maybe have cleaned the circuit for them, but B, will have bailed for the pit lane, and there might be some track space. Dominic Baumann is still the fastest then by this modest 9 thousandths of a second margin. This is number 59, Martin Plowman, who is within sector 1, working his way up towards the timing point, but his last lap wasn't a special one. We have had an improvement now, because up to 4th has just gone Max van Splunteren in the Lamborghini, and he's done a 1:27.466. Number 11 Ferrari sitting in the pit lane. Michael Bronizeski took that out, and that car is a long way down, 26th. Bronizeski being a kind of AM plus in the championship, and the cars then with still 5.5 minutes of the session to run. But at the moment, it is a Ferrari that tops the times, because Norbert Siedler, out of nowhere, first flying lap, John, goes to the top.
Good timing indeed by the 333 Ferrari, the Rinaldi Ferrari. Gone out, nailed it on that first flying lap. Fastest overall sector in sector 3. There is the 488, the Ferrari that Rinaldi Racing have superseded the 458 with which the team had great success. So let's look and see as they go on to do this will be their 3rd lap. There was an out lap, a flying lap. This is now the 3rd lap. So into turn 4 and 4A, then they exit it, run the curb, then a short sprint up into turn 11. No, I didn't forget there's something between 4A and 11. That is how the corners are designated here.
So Norbert Siedler, it is, at the wheel and pushing on. So we've only got Steph Dusseldorf to give us a time, but we've also got now Frank Stippler doing an absolute best sector 1 in the ISR Audi. And where is he? He's ahead, in fact, of the Ferrari that gets a wheel onto the dirt coming uphill. So have a look up the road there. Just going through the shot was Frank Stippler, who has dropped down in the second sector. You've got Martin Plowman's McLaren up to second. I'm not sure that Norbert Siedler's going to go any quicker. Up towards the timing line now goes the Audi. Stippler goes third. And what about Siedler? He is quicker again. A 1:27.102. He was down in sector 2. He was down in sector 3. But even so, a great first sector still gets him to the top. So it's Siedler, Plowman, Stippler, Baumann, Bell, and Souček.
And isn't it a pleasure to see a Ferrari in a field of Mercedes and Audis and BMWs who fundamentally just dominated free practice 1 and 2 on Friday? A Ferrari up there right now, provisionally quickest, and Marco Siedler and Siegfried, I beg your pardon, Norbert Siedler, Marco Siegfried. There is Frank Stippler. I mean, Frank Stippler, how many laps has Frank Stippler done of any variation of a Nurburgring, the Nordschleife, the Grand Prix circuit, the short circuit, the Südschleifler, what was the original South Circuit, which of course was taken out of use way back, I believe, in the 70s, and I think now it probably doesn't even exist.
Yeah, he could drive this with his eyes shut, couldn't he, Frank Stippler? Remarkable guy, but just as quick whether you put him in a modern GT car or a historic car, and just gets on with the job. He is very, very fast, barely makes mistakes, and we've just had Dominic Baumann go back up to second fastest. So it's Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, Audi, McLaren, Bentley, Lamborghini, Bentley, Mercedes, Lamborghini, Nissan 11th. And there is 74 sitting in the pit lane, the second ISR car, which was taken out by Marlon Stockinger. And that, although it shone at Brands Hatch, isn't shining here. It is 17th, but I suspect that when you get Fort Pereira in the wheel of it, then it's going to fly.
Just looking at the time, 11th place for Takaboshi in the 23 Nissan. Alex Buncombe will take that car over, and actually the difference in speed between Takaboshi and Alex Buncombe probably not very much, but the 22 Nissan with Ralph Sanchez and Sean Walkinshaw. Sanchez 22nd on a 28.5 as opposed to the 27.4. Where did that come from?
Nico Müller up to the top of the times, 1:27.026, 3 personal best across the sectors. Confidence up, having won in the DTM a week ago. He won here in the 24 hours last year. There it is, that's the fastest car in the session. It was quickest in FP1 yesterday. Dries Van Thorn was credited with the time, but Nico Müller has done the time right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, that sounds like a very, very strong pairing. Nico Müller going quickest overall by 76 thousandths of a second from the Ferrari, Marco Siegfried. So it's Audi back to the top of the timing and scoring. But just to go back to the Nissan story, Sean Walkinshaw will take over the 22 Nissan. It'll be interesting to see how much closer it's going to get to the sister 23 car, because with respect, Ralph Sanchez, maybe not yet at the level coming through the GT Academy, not yet at the level of a teammate, Sean Walkinshaw, who has done a good job so far.
Absolutely right. So we've got just over a minute to go. The pit lane is getting busier, which means more and more now are coming in early to get the second driver installed for Q2. But it's also now a rather empty circuit, so this is your last chance really to go for a time without traffic getting in the way. Is anybody rolling the dice doing it that way? Intriguingly, Will Stevens, WRT Audi, slowest. It's only done 3 laps, and it is slowest by about 8 seconds relative to everybody else, as in the penultimate car. If you take its time against the fastest car in the session, it's 13 seconds away. So it makes me think that there's a problem for 28. That's the car that Will Stevens, ex-Man Formula 1 racer, will share with René Rast. Now, we know they're quick drivers, so anticipate René Rast to work his magic, if the car is willing, in this next part of qualifying. The Porsche is staying out. Steph Dusseldorp has stayed out in 98 and has just gone up to 14th, so it is still possible to improve. And 99 BMW, this is the car that Alexander Sims is behind the wheel of. He's going to come up and take the checkered flag on this lap. He's 4th fastest then. It was another one that sort of crept up the system, but Sims doing a good job.
He's got a clear racetrack, and if he's got fresh rubber on that BMW, he's got all the opportunities he needs to go out and get a time that's going to elevate the BMW. Again, they were way, way off the pace. We don't know why when we were at Paul Ricard last weekend. Very much back on the pace. The 99 car currently 4th. The 98 car is down in 14th. Steph Dusseldorp, who did a improve on his final lap. So let's look and see the 99 car, Alexander Sims, behind the wheel, comes up to this very tight, it's a frustrating left-right chicane, but David, as you mentioned, it offered, he's coming in the pits, he's abandoned the lap, so he's very happy indeed, I would suspect, with the time just 0.2 of a second away from Nico Mulder in the number 4 Audi.
Yeah, that chicane tight, but does present that overtaking opportunity. Q2 is going to start at 9:22, and it's just 9:16 tick now here at the Nurburgring. So we've got 6 minutes before the cars are released with the other driver behind the wheel. So there's a chance to complete the in-lap, and then the teams will do the driver change and get ready. Possibly a new set of tyres, but some might try and sacrifice Q1, do the work in Q2 to get into Q3 and keep the set for that. Maybe that's the plan at 28. Maybe Will Stevens just went out to do the regulation laps, find out if he's happy with the car, doesn't have to do a time. If that was on old rubber, for example, they could put a new set on for Q2 and give it to Rast, and if Rast gets it into Q3, then they're a set of tyres up, aren't they? So that could be the plan.
Yes, I mean, you'd think Randy Rast round, and again, Nürburgring knows it inside out, back to front, probably done it blindfold, 24 hours of Nürburgring. There are the top 12 positions.
At the end of Q1, it is number 4 then, thanks to Nico Müller, that tops the times, ahead of 3:33, which is Norbert Siedler in the Ferrari. Dominic Baumann's Mercedes 3rd, Alexander Sims' BMW 4th, and McLaren 5th, thanks to Martin Plowman. Audi 6th, the ISR car of Frank Stippler. 7th quickest, Jules Szymkowiak. 8th, number 58, McLaren of Rob Bell, ahead of the best of the Bentleys that shone early. Andy Soucek outpacing in turn the car of Daniel Zampieri. Vincent Abril's Bentley 11th, Max van Spluntren's Lamborghini ending up 12th. Still a good effort. And then 13th fastest, number 23, with Mitsunori Takaboshi, ahead of 98, Steph Dusseldorf BMW. Then it was the Romain Monti, Edward Sandstrom Audi, ahead of Davide Valsecchi. Frederic Verviche in number 1, Audi ahead of Vautier, ahead of Stockinger in the top 20, rounded out by Jafar. Then you've got Lamborghini, Ferrari, Audi and Lambo to round out the top 24. And have a look through this. You've still got an awful lot of names that you associate with quick drivers that perhaps didn't shine as anticipated in Q1, or the second driver has got to drag the car up the order in Q2. But what it does illustrate is just how competitive the championship is, and we say it so regularly these days in competitive championships, but you can't have everybody up in that top 10 because something's got to give.
Well, you look at this timing and scoring, 36 cars on track. Will Stevens, the 37th, didn't really get a competitive time, not been included. But it's the cream of GT drivers, and in fact, not just GT drivers, drivers coming in from single-seaters or championships. They can't continue going down that direction. I'm looking forward to see Felix Rosenqvist, for example. That car was probably way down in middle 20s. He gets behind the wheel. Christian Vautier is the co-driver. Rosenqvist, one of the future stars of motor racing, but just his single-seater career stalling out. So wherever you look in the paddock, you couldn't have a finer lineup of drivers.
Yeah, Rosenqvist, last year's FIA Formula 3 European champion, double Macau Grand Prix winner, and picked up by Mercedes, put into a GT program this year, also racing in America. Right, so time to change drivers. Time also for the team manager of car number 25, which is the Santalok Junior Audi, to go and see Alain Adam, the race director. 84 gets ready to go, so that's now going to be driven by Maximilian Buch. The Mercedes had a pretty torrid time last week, the HTP cars in France in the Endurance Cup, with mechanical problems putting them up a little bit for general pace anyway there. I think there's one car that's still out on track, and although it's taken the checkered flag, has not yet returned to the pit lane. It's the Porsche of Didi Gonzalez, who was done yesterday for taking the checkered flag twice, and I fear it's happened again. So the Porsche driver, there he is, enjoying the circuit and enjoying his car, but also one fears enjoying being summoned to the race director.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a bit fundamental that you know where the checkered flag or the start-finish line is on any racetrack, and okay, maybe you're focused on trying to get one more lap out, maybe sneak across the line just before the clock counts down. But once, I can accept, twice, well,
yes,
I said the cream of GT drivers. Maybe there's a little whatever.
It's good to have the Porsche on the grid. It's good that we've got different drivers. Didi Gonzalez then, if I'm right in saying he went through twice, he's back in the pit lane now anyway, so the team can put Sebastian Ash behind the wheel, and Ash is going to fly. His father, Roland Ash, former DTM champion and Porsche champion, and Sebastian is twice a winner of the German GT Championship, and a very, very quick driver. He and Luca Ludwig, Klaus Ludwig's son, win GT races regularly in this country, and for Zach Speed, make a good pairing in a Mercedes, but it's Porsche that he will drive this weekend. 98 then is ready to go, the BMW of Rover Racing. Steph Dusseldorf gives way to Maxime Martin, so like the blue touch paper and stand back. If anybody could get that car up to the front of the grid, Maxime is the boy. What's going on at WRT? There's 28, so René Rast is ready to go, having taken over from Will Stevens. I still think, looking at the lack of activity around it, that there's no concern. This is all part of the plan to look after tyres and get that car into Q3 on fresh rubber.
The only thing is you have to amalgamate the first and second practice sessions, and with a very poor session from Will Stevens, how will that affect the top 10 that go into Q3 when you have to expect something pretty mighty? It looks as if that number, a 25 Audi, may not be in a position. We have to wait and see what the outcome will be after Q1, Q2.
So we've got 30 seconds before the green flag is waved. And now, of course, the teams have had a look at how you manage the traffic, even if it's a different driver behind the wheel now. And Audi, thus far, the brand to beat. Nico Müller's target time then, 1:27.026, going into Q2, and we're just about ready to go.
Just interestingly, as a little offshoot from this, there is a film which is going to be made available certainly on DVD and maybe on general release, called The Green Hell. And that's a history of the Nurburgring from its very early days when it was constructed in the late 20s and all the way through the Nordschleife, then into the more modern days here with the contemporary Grand Prix circuit. Great history with lots and lots of unique footage of some amazing, amazing cars and drivers who were, believe me, very courageous gentlemen. And maybe the odd lady that took part also. Maybe it wasn't an odd lady, maybe it was a lady. Someone will pick me up. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. There was a Czech lady called Janek, I think, or something, Janek, who raced Bugattis and other cars in the late 20s, early 30s. And in fact, I'm not sure, Bernd Rosenmeier, he married a famous German aviator. And I think she did drive a Grand Prix Auto Union. But whether she drove it on the old Schleifer or not, there was something just ticking in the back. Anyway, Auto Union, Reed Audi.
Ali Blindmore.
That's the girl, yes.
That's the name we're looking for, yes. Right, we're good to go. Cars heading out on track. So now let's see how people fare in the second part of qualifying, because we've got them all venturing out onto the circuit. This will give us a chance to have a look at the overall ranking and the individual sessions.
It's pretty tough qualifying here this weekend. The circuit isn't particularly long, but the lap time, considering the length of the lap, it's a 1:27 with maybe see a 1:26. Very, very busy, 37 cars, 3.6 kilometers. Very hard to get that one magical clear lap where you can use the best of your rubber, and to get those two factors to coincide is really the key to getting a successful time. So Rodrigo Baptista running right out to the very edge, coming through turn 3, then the exit out of 4 run. Cars running way, way, way off. I mean, there were a lot of abusive track limits. Looking at the McLaren just behind, it's getting close to running all 4 wheels off the track. Now into the cutback between 4A and then the return back up to turn 11.
That hairpin that they just come through is an overtaking opportunity if you're brave and if you commit, but it's also a place where, from looking at other races around that configuration, it's very easy to lock up and go out wide. So if it works, it's a really good corner for you. If it goes wrong, it compromises the entire lap.
It looks like it's going to go wrong more frequently than it's going to come off.
I think you're right.
It's one of those places that, I mean, okay, if you can get square alongside a car under braking before you enter into the corner, then you've got the corner. But if you try and do a lunge down the inside into a closing gap, it always ends up with contact, and it's a very tight pinch point on the circuit.
So remember, the target time is Nico Müller's 1:27.026. Let's see what happens in Q2 relative to Q1 and how that's going to shuffle the order. Fastest at the end of one flying lap is Com Ledegar. He's done a 27.3. So fastest in the element of qualifying in Q2 is McLaren. Rene Rast then goes fastest, 1:27.046. That puts him second overall straight away. So there you go, he's going to go through into Q3. Second overall is Rene Rast. Job done. First flying lap, box ticked.
Pretty impressive. Just gets in the car, set of tyres. I mean, they don't need to do exciting laps. He just knows precisely the conditions, what to get out of the car. So Rene Rast dominating within the sort of space of one flying lap.
Yeah, he's not quite as quick as Nico Müller went in Q1 by 200ths, but the important thing is that if he can hang on to that time, nobody else goes quicker. He will get through into Q3, and that's the determining factor for the front of the grid. Looking at the Lamborghinis running together.
Van Thor quickest, 1:26.927. And almost, you might say, service resumed back to normal. Laurens Van Thor, first flying lap, 1:26.927. Rene Rast, first flying lap, 1:27.0. 1/10 of a second difference. Third quickest is the 74 Audi, Frank Pereira. No surprise at all. Frank Pereira, who was outstanding at Silverstone and also at Brands Hatch, in fact, in that sprint race there. So again, Sergio Jimenez up to 5th place in his Audi. Ledegar had gone back into the pit lane, and the McLaren currently 4th in a 1:27.313. So we're waiting to see is the number 1, Laurens Van Thor, fastest. Purple overalls, first sector. Laurens Van Thor is here, sending a message out to everybody. I've sort of been a little bit forgotten, but don't forget me. I am the man in an Audi. His brother Dries Van Thor is going to be probably his biggest challenger over the course of the next number of years. Purple in the second sector. We're going to see an improvement unless he gets held up in the final sector. 1:26.927, the time to beat. He's got a clear run into the final turn. That's turn 17. Used to be called, I think, Coca-Cola. And they enter the corner. Slight bobble in the middle of the corner, but a good exit, clean exit. It's going to be a 1:26.7, possibly. No, 1:26.6.
So that is the best time of the weekend, a 26.6. Then fastest time thus far for Laurens Van Thor. And Rene Rast has come back into the pit lane. So having thrown down a gauntlet, he is in. Are we going to see the cars venture back out? As long as they can stay within that top 10, they will be confirmed to go through into Q3.
Philippe Salaquada makes it an Audi. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Behind from Pereira, and then he gets all shuffled because Marco Bortolotti's Lamborghini goes second in Q2, 1:27.028. So overall, it's Van Thor, Müller, Bortolotti, Rast, Pereira, Seidler. That's if you take the 2 parts of qualifying for the grid. If you look at it in individual sessions, it is Audi from Lamborghini, Audi. Not anymore, because up to second now goes number 11. So that is the Ferrari of Giacomo Piccini. Number 11, then the Kessel Racing Ferrari up to second fastest in Q2.
But the Ferrari 333 hanging back. A lot of cars, 1, 2, 3, 8 cars waiting until the clock gets down to maybe nearly 4 minutes to go. So there's a lot more yet to come in the second sector of qualifying than we're seeing, and we've seen outstanding time from Laurens Van Thor and from the Ferrari number 11. Remember, that's not a full Pro, it's a Pro-Am car, Silver Cup, Silver Trophy car.
Okay, 63 in the sector, up in sector 1, Maxi Bouk, absolute best sector 1 as well. Number 84 Mercedes then, which is coming up towards the chicane, is looking good. Personal best in sector 2, there is 333, which is the Ferrari then going into the chicane, just into the final corner is coming Maximilian Bouk. So we'll keep an eye on him. We're keeping an eye to the Lamborghinis, of course, as the session unravels. People getting quicker and quicker all the time. But first of all, Bortolotti, who is third. Maxi Bouk goes second, so the Lamborghini goes out of fourth. Bouk does a 26.863, putting him second overall, as well as second in Q2. What about Bortolotti? Over the timing line he will go, and that lap is a 26.831. He's quicker than Bouk, so he goes back up to second fastest.
Wow, you can hardly catch your breath. I mean, this is just non-stop. It is virtually there's Max Bouk. Again, he knows what he's got to do. He was second quickest, had Fat Purple in sector 1 on that last flying lap. That was his 3rd lap. He's on his 4th lap now. Coming past one of the 2 Nissans, waiting to see where they are. 22, 23, still to show. So Walkinshaw has just gone out. And the 23 of, yes, so both Nissans have held back a little bit. They're just going out on their first flying laps.
Okay, there is Maxi Bouk then. How's Bentley doing at the moment? As we've got Colm Ledegaard doing an absolute best in sector 1. Neither of the Bentleys has done a lap time yet. They were early out in Q1, late out in Q2. Right, now are we going to see McLaren get to the top? There is 59, so it is Cohn with an absolute best and a personal best. So 1 corner to go, the time to beat 1:26.604. If you can do better than a 26.6, it's provisional pole for Cohn. The French driver comes up towards the timing line, he goes through, it's a 26.433, it's pole position for Cohn with 2 absolute best. What a lap.
And we spotted it the second he just went fastest through sector 1. Cohn great run. Dries van Thor, who had just suddenly found himself up into 4th place, now all the way back down to 6th, and it is literally almost by the car coming across start-finish line. The times are changing so rapidly, it's so difficult even here, timing and scoring to keep up, but a 1:26.433 for the McLaren. There is the car, the driver behind the wheel, Cohn superb lap, and great to see the McLaren coming alive at 1 and 6 hours in Paul Ricard last weekend, a totally different racetrack to what we're on now. Bentley's out on track, lights flashing, but they've been held up by the 66 Ferrari.
And Jean-Philippe Belloc's Mercedes has had its best lap time disallowed for exceeding track limits. We've not had to talk too much about those, but they are a little problem, but only for 1 or 2 cars. The race director having a far easier time here than, say, at Paul Ricard a week ago. 55 then, the Ferrari up towards the timing line. That's the AF Corsa car of Claudio Stanovic, and for this session, Stéphane Lemeray, the very experienced and quick Belgian journalist, who is 28th fastest.
Alvaro Parent of the McLaren makes it a McLaren 1-3.
A 1:26.6, third fastest for Parent then. So McLaren, Audi, Lamborghini, Mercedes. What about these Bentleys? Where are we going to throw them into the mix?
I don't know, and I think they probably are scratching their heads as well, because this has suddenly got very, very serious at the top 4. But having 2 McLarens, 1st and 3rd, who would have predicted that?
The 3 drivers that have yet to set a time, Stephen Kane, Maxime Soulet, Maxime Martin, 3 guns there. That is going to be interesting to see where they slot in with only 4 minutes and change on the clock.
Well, they're out on track, hoping that everybody else has gone into the pits. Pretty much the case.
Parent, absolute best, sector 1. You're looking at him as he comes up towards us. So number 58 McLaren could be on here for provisional pole position out of Q2. Alvaro Parent, then McLaren factory driver, massively experienced GT driver, but of course with a great single-seater pedigree before that. He's down in sector 2. He's lost out a little bit in the middle sector by a 10th. So can he put it all back? If you do a good 3rd sector, bearing in mind it's a really good 1st, is that going to knit together enough to give him an improvement? He's 3rd, he crosses the timing line and he goes quickest of all on a 26.363.
Wow.
McLaren 1-2.
Well, who do you put this performance down to? I might say Baz Linders, but he doesn't engineer the car, he just runs the team. Look at Stephen Kane. Talk about, I mean, he could cut my grass at home. He was doing such a good job on the Bentley.
Maxime Soulet has done a lap that only puts him 32nd. Maxime Martin, in the meantime, has done a lap which has got him sort of midway up the order, but with a lot more to do. But now you've got Martin trying to go yet faster. We've just had an improvement by Philippe Eng, absolute best middle, 2 personal bests, and 4th fastest, number 99 BMW. So just to quickly draw breath, it is Parent, Ledegaard, Laurens Van Thor, Eng, Mies, Bortolotti, Bouk, Dries Van Tor, Piccini,
Ferrari,
9th, and Salaquada 10th. For now.
I mean, we've seen competitive qualifyings at other events. This, I have to say, is the most intense. It's almost impossible because we were watching a car on a lap saying purple, purple, green, or whatever. And as soon as we've seen that, there's somebody else has gone purple, purple, green. Bentley, green, green, Stephen Kane. Let's see where this is going to bring the Ulsterman. As he comes out of turn 17 behind the Mercedes, gets a small toe. Stephen Kane pops up, pops.
27th.
Stephen Kane, get down the inside, Stephen. Take the corner. That's the way to do it, my friend.
Now, what about 8? Because that's 36th of the 37. And what about Maxime Martin? There he is. The car, sorry, no, that's Philippe Eng. Maxime Martin is still yet to really hook up. He's 26th. So Eng has backed off on this lap. And we've got 2 minutes and change on the clock. And I thought he'd go for the pit lane.
So did I,
just
but
weaving.
I think he's just looking for the clear lap, keeping tire temperature up by doing the weave one way and the other to try and keep temperature in the sidewall.
So if Eng can do it, surely Maxime Martin can, traffic permitting. Where is he on track? Maxime Martin is heading towards the chicane as Alex Buncombe, number 23, has done an absolute and a personal best. Number 23, Alex Buncombe, 28th fastest. He's in the last sector. He's about to head up towards the timing line. He's crossed the timing line and the lap keeps him 28th because he dropped a heap of time in the last sector. What was going on there?
I suspect it may have been traffic, or maybe just, and most likely it's going to be traffic.
Yeah.
The sister car, the 22 car, Sean Walkinshaw behind the wheel, he's had a miserable run so far. Best lap of 127.9. A lot more speed in that car on this lap, I would imagine.
So you're looking at Maxime Martin then, going through the hairpin up the short straight that takes him now towards the Vidon chicane. And as he works his way left and then right, he knows the circuit, of course, from GT and from DTM days, working the car hard, and Maxime Martin trying to get himself up towards the front of the grid. He's 20th.
In the meantime, Maximilian Buch and the 84 Mercedes-Benz back up into the second row, the provisional second row in fourth place, 126.661. Been tough. Maximilian Buch had to push hard to get that time from the Mercedes, but here, let's look and see what the 99 Maxime Martin, a man who I would always put into any GT car that I would be an entrant of. Yeah, he's that good.
That's the N car, which is not going any quicker, so that's already fifth, but it's not going to improve. You can see all the truck rubber put down on the pit straight there from last night's stop-go competition. So over the line goes Philippe Eng. He stays fifth fastest. It's the sister car that we need to see. The best lap of Côme Ledegar is under investigation. Second fastest Côme Ledegar, but the lap is under investigation.
Probably running wide there on the exit. You come out of that very tight four, and people run very, very wide, all four wheels off the track. That's the most likely place that he may have transgressed.
So there's 8. That's Maxime Soulet at the wheel, and he's 16 fastest now. Maxime Martin, he's down to 21st. He's not coming for him. So he's struggling as we've got the checkered flag about to go out. The clock has hit 0. Flag is out. There it is. So the session's at an end. Over the line goes Stephen Kane, and he improved but stays 27th.
Slightly strange time for Stefan Rosina and the Lamborghini 16. Down in 24th place, but he had the fastest third sector time of anybody, but he's only done a 127.3. So pace, obviously, in sector 3. Why not 1 and 2? Very odd. We'll have to find out maybe what the problem were for the Lamborghini. Maybe simply traffic again, or just not getting the car tyre dialed in the opening part of the lap.
Can I offer you a rather cynical thought? He got the chicane wrong and straight-lined it. And that's why Sector 3 is so good. Because if he did the shorter version, he doesn't have the slow and the stop left and right. If he made a mistake and went straight on through the softer version, that would be why it was such a good last sector.
Well, we'll have to look and see if there's going to be any times indicating to that car being cancelled. 16, nothing coming up timing and scoring. It may well be the case, could have done it.
Yeah.
But ordinarily, well, I don't know, it's one of those situations. We've yet to see a driver take that option. Not to say it didn't happen, but it is a viable theory.
So in Q2, taking it in isolation, Alvaro Parent fastest, 126.363 from Côme Ledegar, who did a 26.433, and then Lawrence Van Thor in number 1 Audi, 26.604. Fourth fastest, Maxi Buch, 26.661. Fifth was Philippe Eng, who did a 26.714, and sixth, Christopher Mies, Brands Hatch winner, on a 26.758. Now, of course, you have to factor those times relative to what people were doing in Q1, and you get the cars that will progress into Q3. So let's look at how it is now combined. Most people have gone quicker in Q2, admittedly, anyway. So it's Alvaro Parent's McLaren from the sister car of Côme Ledegar, and then Laurence Van Thor third. Fourth fastest, it is Maxi Buch. Fifth fastest, Philippe Eng, and sixth quickest, Christopher Mies. Then after that, seventh fastest, Mirko Bortolotti. Eighth fastest, Dries Van Thor. Ninth, the Ferrari of Giacomo Piccini. And Philippe Salaquada rounding out the top 10 ahead of the sister car of Franck Pereira. René Rast getting the 28 Audi to 12th after Q1 and Q2, ahead of the Santalot car, number 26, which Christopher Hasser was behind the wheel of. Patrick Niederhauser 14th overall, ahead of Marcus Winkelhock. Then Marco Seefried in the Ferrari. The best Bentley, Maxime Soulet, only 17th, ahead of Jeroen Mull, Luca Stolz. So you've got the two Lamborghinis there, ahead of Felix Rosenqvist, Mercedes, Michael Meadows, Audi 21st. Maxime Martin frustrated, 22nd, ahead of Sergio Jimenez. And Bernd Schneider, we hardly needed to mention, sad to say, Bernd almost anonymous as the Mercedes just didn't get hooked up. Then you've got Stefan Rosina's Lamborghini ahead of Stephen Kane. 27th fastest, Clement Schmidt. 28th fastest, Marcus Pommer. 29th, Alex Buncombe in the Nissan. Then Morgan Moulin-Trafort a long way down. Raffaele Giammaria 31st, ahead of Sebastian Ash in the Porsche. He in turn ahead of Edward Sandstrom, who really struggled. Stefan Lemray comes next, ahead of Sean Walkinshaw. and then Jean-Philippe Belloc, who lost one of his best times for track limits. And the last car is going to be Christian Hook in the Black Pearl Racing Ferrari. So we get ready for Q3. The cars now being confirmed, and they will venture out very shortly with another lap time being cancelled. Yes, number 16, the car that we were just talking about, going well in Sector 3, has had its lap cancelled, and
it's sort of irrelevant anyway.
It was, because it was so far down.
So far down.
But that does suggest we were right in suggesting it was track limits, because it's had it taken away.
We didn't suggest it, David. You suggested it.
Teamwork, John.
Teamwork. Anyway, it was down in 24th position, so that car, Stefan Rossini, I mean, you'd always assume that that car has got good pace. He's got David Balsecchi coming again from GP2, another single-seater championship. That adaptation from a high downforce single-seater car, it is more difficult, and I've yet to see David Balsecchi sort of shine, maybe the way I would like to think he has got the ability to. But what these opening 2 qualifying segments have been just mesmerising. The pace and the speed of change between the 1st and the 10th, there's no way of predicting, but look above. What is that? That's not the scene from a Steven Spielberg blockbuster. That's the sky here at the Nurburgring.
And it's coming this way as well. So Q3 will be getting underway shortly, and 18 cars, the top 18, are those that are going to progress. So we'll come to those in a moment, and of course the teams have to nominate a driver for this 3rd qualifying session.
Track temperature still, well, it's gone up half a degree. Air pressure, well, forget about that, but it's the humidity 78.1, and there we are, that familiar, wonderful sky. Even the great landscape artists of the day, Turner and Constable, couldn't have painted it any better.
You talk about that rain coming this way, I tell you, that's bliss compared to what happened here for the 24 hours. Within the first hour of the race, which started in the sunshine, it was red flagged because of snow.
Serves you right. Serves you right for being so greedy to want to do another 24-hour race.
Well, I'll tell you, that was all about Mercedes. They're not having it their own way here. The best is 4th, but there's more to shuffle out of this session as we get ready for Q3. So, to take the order, you're going to have number 58 McLaren, and that car will be Alvaro Parent. 59 is going to be Côme Ledegaard. Number 1 Audi Laurens Vanthoor. 84 Mercedes Maxi Buch. 99 is Philipp Eng. 33 goes in the hands of Christopher Mies. Number 63 Lamborghini will be Mirko Bortolotti. Then number 4 Audi for Dries Vanthoor. 11 Ferrari Giacomo Piccini. 75 Audi Philippe Salaquada. 74 Franck Pereira. 28, which is the Rast Audi René Will Drive, not Will Stevens. 26 Audi Christopher Hasse. 101 Lamborghini Patrick Niederhauser. 6 Audi Marcus Winkelhock. 333 Ferrari Norbert Siedler. 8 Bentley Maxim Soule. 100 is Jeroen Mul. And then number 19 is going to be Luca Stolz. Those are the drivers as we get set for Q3.
I mean, wherever you look around, if you look anywhere other than horizontal, it's just coming in. There it is. You can see the rain in the background. We may be fortunate enough to get through this session without any rain falling. It's been too outstanding. I mean, I've enjoyed these 2 qualifying sessions probably as much, if not more, than any in previous seasons. And I would hate to see it being destroyed by weather affected, and so people will be aware of it. They will be looking skyward and rolling the dice to see whether they can afford to sit back and just go for one sort of set of ones on a brand new set of Pirelli slicks, or are they going to take the chance and go out early and maybe not need to do so. But look how black it has gone. I mean, it's...
I'm not optimistic.
I mean, there was a novel called, I'll not say it, but it's 50 Shades of Black.
50 Shades of Rain, yes. It's heading our way as well. The first race that the cars have, of course, it's one race, the qualifying race today, the main race tomorrow. Today's race, 2:15. Now, we're only at 9:45, so there's quite a gap in between. But who knows how much rain might fall and what the combination of rain and 2 truck races is going to do to the track surface.
Well, I can guarantee you it'll make a substantial amount of difference. But we have to wait for the rain to start falling, and we've got to then to see how much of the elements from truck racing have a bearing on the track surface. So it's a different experience for the GT drivers. I have to say I've been mega impressed by the way that they've all approached qualifying. But look at that as rolling in. I mean, it's just coming in like a tsunami.
It's getting darker and darker, cooler. Right, we are green, we are live, so the session is underway. Any takers? Yes, from Pereira is first out, so he's making his way then down the pit lane.
I mean, I'm assuming most teams will try and get away with just doing that one run on a brand new set of rubber. They don't want to have to go through the dice twice, other than if they get held up. But with only, what, 20 cars or so on track, the task is somewhat easier, and most drivers will do an out lap, a flying lap, and then probably come in again to try and keep the freshest set of tyres available for then when they get into the sprint race this afternoon and the main race on Sunday. But of course, being only 1 hour and mandatory pit stop, the tyre degradation is not going to be anywhere near at the level it would be over the course of a longer race such as we had in Paul Ricard.
So 3 Audis and a Mercedes out on track first of all, and what have we got? 20 cars going out for Q3. So it's not everybody, you have to get through into it. There is a knockout element. Then if you don't make it to Q3, of course, you take your better time out of Q1 or Q2. You don't add them together, it's just your faster time. There's 74 from Pereira, who is going to do the target time because he has been the first man out. He'll be the first man onto what's really a proper flying lap. So the circuit getting busier. You're going to put your neck on the line and predict a pole position driver here, John?
I mean, right now, I could say anyone on the top 20 cars.
Yeah.
I've always had just, you look at what Audi do, the WRT team in particular, so impressive. One driver in the Audi setup that sort of tends to be slightly overlooked because he's one of the guys that gets sent here, there and everywhere, but it's Christopher Mies. I think he does a very, very professional, good, solid job. Now, whether he'll have the fastest overall lap time for an Audi, I don't know. It's in anybody's gift right now. But what McLaren did, the two McLarens, that was a bit of a surprise. I didn't expect to see them coming through as strongly in qualifying as they did do. And I could say pretty much the same for about at least half the field.
So Pereira it is then, out on track, and let's see what sort of a lap time he does. You take your Q3 lap, so what you did in Q1 and Q2 is now scratched. So if you were fastest out of Q1 and Q2, but 20th in Q3, hard luck. So this is another opportunity for the grid to shuffle. Audi there trying to make sure it's got clear track space. The WRT car getting out of from Pereira's way. So he's heading up towards the timing line. It's his first flying lap, so yes, it would be purple sectors. Don't read too much into that. He's heading up towards the final corner, turn 17. And then the timing line beckons, so let's see what sort of a lap Pereira can do. Perhaps more interestingly, lower down the numbers, you've got Max Book doing an absolute best in Sector 1, so gradually now more and more people starting to get themselves dialed in, ready to go for it. So from Pereira's target time, 1:27.833.
Marcus Winkelhock, number 6 Audi, fastest overall Sector 1. There again, a driver who, senior driver by GT standards these days, but still has got that raw talent, that raw speed to drag a time out and slip that car very quietly. Purple is in fact fastest sector of all, now gone to Comledegaard, shows the McLaren clearly on a charge, 43.7. So Alvaro Parenta 43. The two McLarens right now in sector 1 dominating, but still looking at number 1. Well, I can't keep up. It's just too much.
Every time a car crosses the line, things shuffle. So Winkelhock, Book, Pereira, Salaquada is the order. Lawrence Vantor has done a personal and an absolute. Comledegaard here has done an absolute and a personal. So he's going to get himself up to the point again. Vantor goes quickest, 1:26.588 for now. What about McLaren? This should go top, John.
No, he's been held up by the Lamborghini.
All right.
So we wait and see. He may go quickest, but he certainly has lost some of the potential that car had. He's gone quickest, 1:26.3. Alvaro Parenta behind him by 28 thousandths of a second. He needs to get the McLaren ahead of the Lamborghini. Interestingly, the straight line performance of the Lamborghini slightly better than the McLaren. Ledegaard backs off. He needs to. Alvaro Parenta takes the opportunity. He wasn't so close to the tail of the Lamborghini where it was going to affect him. Now Ledegaard tags on to the back of the sister car.
Christopher Mies up to second, 3,000 slower than Comledegaard.
Well, I thought I said something about Christopher Mies about 5 minutes ago.
You did. You said he was a real star.
I think
the evidence.
He is outstanding.
There's the evidence. So far, 13 covered by less than a second. He's going to get tighter because he's still got 4 of them that have yet to do a lap time. So Ledegar, Mies, Parent, Salaquada, Rast, Book, Vantor Major, Pereira, Winkelhock, Vantor Minor. That is the top 10.
And we've got just 4.5 minutes of the session remaining. There is a car also capable. Norbert Siedler behind the wheel of the 333 Ferrari. I just love the colour scheme of that car. It just looks, it stands out so clearly. And that is the Lamborghini, by the way.
Yes.
Or Bortolotti, probably.
There's the Ferrari in the background, 13th, but it should be an improvement. Let's see, over the timing line, up to 10th goes Norbert Siedler. That was a 1:26.839.
But it's Alvaro Parent who is on the charge. Car 58, currently in third place, but fastest overall in Sector 1. He goes quickest, 1:26.218. Lamborghini's been, well, it's McLaren, and Audi, Mercedes, Audi, Lamborghini.
Funny echo in here, isn't it? Audi. There's one of them, and that's 75, Philip Salaquada, ex-Formula 3 racer, but somebody who's making a name for himself gradually in GT racing. The Czech driver goes over the timing line. That wasn't an improvement, but the car still fifth fastest. That's the fastest car. It is 58 Alvaro Parent at the wheel of it. 3.5 minutes to go, and he's aborted this lap.
Yeah, he's done what he has to do. That's a pretty strong lap, 1:26.218. Is that the quickest overall from the 3 sessions, or is it? It's going to be pretty close. 26.2 was the something or other.
It is the best, yeah. But you take your Q3 anyway, irrespective.
Maxi Book. Mercedes up to 4th place, so he's going to be a little bit happier, but on the second row of the grid behind an Audi, the 2 McLarens. Philippe Eng has done a good time, fastest second sector overall, but only 10th quickest. There's the car.
Remember, this is for the grid for the qualifying race for today. So the magic second at the moment covers 16 cars. 16 cars covered by just over 8/10 of a second.
So it's actually gone quiet. It's actually there's no purples other than Philippe Eng's, but he's completed that lap. So with what, 2 3/4 minutes to go, I suspect everybody's shot their bolt, as they say. And let's look and see who's on a charge. Bortolotti 9th in the Lamborghini, 1:26.5. It is so competitive.
Mies has done a personal best in the middle sector, number 33, and he's just gone over the timing line, but doesn't improve. So Christopher Mies doesn't find anything else in the times.
63, they'll be looking at Marco Bertolotti in the Lamborghini, but he's currently, say, 9th place. On another lap, we'll wait to see what he does in his first sector behind one of the 2 McLarens. So 2 minutes to go. The best of your tyre will be gone, but if you've maybe been caught in the amount of traffic on the track, which is significantly less than it was for Q1 and Q2, you might get something back out of it. McLaren totally dominating. I mean, one car I can understand, but both cars absolutely on it.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because if you look at the Sprint Cup this year, and McLaren hasn't yet had a podium finish. Now, okay, we're not racing, we're qualifying, but the pace really good. So the BOP helping them on a short track like this.
And your New Zealand mate isn't in it.
Shea Van Gisbergen, no, only doing the endurance races. But I think Parent, Bell, Ledegar, and make a pretty decent combination, don't they?
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's Alvaro Parent just checking up as he comes into turn 17 to go one more roll of the dice. Just over a minute to go as he comes across the start-finish line. He's got relatively, well, he has got a clear track. There's nobody to be concerned about. Behind him is the Lamborghini, but again, that's not going to be an issue. There are the top 8 times.
So Parent and Bell, Ledegar and Plowman, just to reiterate the 4 McLaren drivers. Remember a while ago at the end of Q1 we talked about the Porsche having taken the flag more than once. Well, its driver and team manager being summoned to the stewards. We've got 45 seconds to go, and it's weird, isn't it, because you build up to Q3 and actually it's been the calmer because the majority of times have been set a little bit earlier and people now struggling for whatever reason to actually hook up to improve towards the end.
Well, I think 2 reasons. Well, primary reason is that they've gone out on a brand new set of tyres, and the tyre gives its best time on the first or second flying lap thereafter. It's a natural part or course of the tyres dropping off in ultimate time, then it stabilises into a period where it's very consistent. But also everybody rushed out for the reasons that we're talking about it as well, looking skyward. The concern that weather front, which is coming across the circuit, may arrive a bit sooner than they maybe anticipated. There's the 58 McLaren, and it's all over, so the session, those that are still on a flying lap are allowed to complete. But in effect, we've now got our grid. I don't see anybody else anywhere near putting a challenge there. We see the Lamborghini deciding to come into the pits.
So there is the checkered flag. McLaren can start celebrating though. Really good effort done. Garage 59, very pleased with life indeed. And it's not just pole, it is a 1-2. And they've looked good across all three elements of qualifying.
There's the man who I think has been a lot of the mastermind. He doesn't do the technical side, but he runs a very, very good team indeed, BES Blancpain. So everybody from, well, this is not a factory, it's a quasi sort of factory McLaren team.
But with some factory drivers put in there, yes.
I mean, obviously, clearly Alvaro Parent being the incumbent.
So at the end of Q3, we look like this for the Sprint Cup qualifying race grid. Alvaro Parent and Rob Bell will start from provisional pole ahead of Martin Plowman and Coem Ledegaard, with Enzo Ede and Christopher Mies up to third. The Brands Hatch winners Dominic Baumann and Maxi Buch fourth ahead of Frederick Verviche and Lawrence Van Thor. Frank Stippler, Philip Salaquada go from sixth ahead of Will Stevens and Rene Rast. Nicky Mar, Melnhoff and Marcus Winkelhock eighth. Mirko Bortolotti and Nicholas Pola ninth. Marlon Stockinger and Font Pereira 10th. Then you got the Sims Eng BMW and Nico Muller and Dries Van Thor's Audi lining up 12th. 13th for the Attempto Racing Lamborghini that Patrick Niederhauser did the time in, ahead of Christopher Hauser, sharing with Mike Parisi this weekend. Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler's Ferrari 15th. Giacomo Piccini's similar car 16th, run by a different team, Kessel Racing. The best Bentley, better Bentley, 17th. Maxim Soule ahead of the Lamborghinis of Luca Stoltz and then Jeroen Mul to round out the order. So that is how the top 19 look at the end of Q3. There are a number of drivers and team managers being summoned to the race director. Drivers also being reminded they've got to go to the post-scrutineering scales in order to do the weight check. And it is not only a very, very good qualifying session we've enjoyed, but it all sets us up nicely, looking forward to racing later on. Let's look back at the highlights of qualifying then here this morning. Bright and early, 5 minutes to 9. The teams were ready for the 9 o'clock start, pouring out on track. And early doors in Q1, it looked as though Bentleys could well be the car to have, as both Soule and Abril were doing good lap times early on. But as the rest got into their stride, so the Bentleys ended up dropping down the order a little bit. Ferrari looking good this morning as well. The Rinaldi racing car trying to stay in the mix, but it seemed early on as though Audi was going to be the car to have, because in Q1, it was the Nico Muller car that was fastest. The teams got themselves ready for Q2, and another car that was really hustling on, number 3, the Sergio Jimenez driven car that he shares with Rodrigo Baptista, the Brazilian partnership, trying to get themselves into Q3. But a qualifying rabble through, it was the McLarens that started to show their hand. The best McLaren in Q1 had been Martin Plowman for 5th, but when we got to Q2 and very much into Q3, McLaren's becoming ever more competitive. Philip Eng was looking good in 99 BMW, ending up 11th overall. And for McLaren, it was a chance of cycling through drivers and into Q3, where the times were done by Alvaro Parent and Coem Ledegaard. 96 thousandths split the two McLarens. Alvaro Parent is the man who is the fastest, and Parent looking good this weekend, as too is Coem Ledegaard. Garage 59 coming here on the back of an Endurance Cup win a week ago in France. So Alvaro Parent doing the time, just 96 thousandths quicker than Coem Ledegaard.
Congratulations, you'll be starting on pole position for the qualifying race.
Yeah, really great job until now, you know, pole position, sister car P2. What can I say? The guys are doing a great job. The car was looking very strong with the new tires. Yesterday we had a good run, but we didn't really use them, the new tires, so we didn't exactly know. We knew our pace was good, but we didn't know how good, because you only know when you get them on and when you get to qualifying. But yeah, great job, very happy. The car was very balanced in the corners, very good with these for the 2 fresh laps, you know, on brand new tires. So
okay, thank you.
Very happy,
thank you very
happy, yeah.
Dakota Jane talking to Alvaro Parent, and he is the man who will start from pole as we look forward to the race at 2:15 this afternoon. So for now, from John Watson and David Addison, it's goodbye.